Kids don't smoke. Researchers at the University of California have found that smokers infected with the AIDS virus appear to develop the disease faster than infected non-smokers. That's a report delivered at the International AIDS Conference going on now in San Francisco. And in West Hartford, Connecticut, a mother duck frantically quacking after 6 of her ducklings fell through a grate into a storm drain. An animal control officer came to the rescue. The grate was removed. She ducked down into the drain, scooped up 5 of the ducklings. The 6th had waded down the pipe and was reunited with its mother when it emerged on the other side of the road. For the ABC Direction Network, I'm Bill Stoller.
Hi!
Hi.
We're the Joneses.
That's us.
And if you're trying to keep up with us...
Hurry to Sears.
Right. See, through June 30th, it's 0% financing at Sears. That means no billing.
No payments.
And no finance charges until September.
So you can get some great stuff.
Just like us.
New appliances.
New electronics.
Even new furniture.
0% financing is on qualified purchases over $200.
Ask for details.
And keep up with the Joneses.
That's us.
0% financing at Sears. That's your money's worth.
And a whole lot more.
Right.
Does more mean better? Sometimes it does. Sears Brand Central is now the largest appliance and electronic superstore. And more stores means better buying power. More brands means better selection. And more stores means great grand opening deals, like an 18 cubic foot frostless refrigerator for just $468 through Saturday. $468. That's more for your money. Brand Central at Sears. The brands you want at the store you trust.
Price may vary in Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico.
RC World and Track has racing Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday nights. That's off-road, radio-controlled model race cars. On Friday night, RC World and Track has sprint car racing on their oval track and sled pulling, too. Beginners are welcome. Mom and Dad, bring the kids. Heck, bring yourself. RC racing is big-time adult fun, too. There's no admission charge at this racetrack. Spectators are free. RC World and Track has a full line of radio-controlled cars and parts. It's the largest track in Denver, and the staff is friendly, too. That's RC World and Track at 2788 South Federal, next to Champion Auto Parts.
It's time for a new look at business, the business of motor racing. It's Jann Scott tonight on AM 710, the business station.
.58 degrees in Denver at 9:06. The weather's looking pretty good for the weekend. Tonight mostly cloudy but clearing late, lows 45 to 50. Friday and Friday night, patchy clouds, fog early Friday morning, otherwise fair, warmer, except a few thunderstorms late in the afternoon, early evening. Highs 85 to 90. That's on Friday and Saturday. Sunny and hot. So tomorrow, Fridays, of course, we give you detailed weather all across the state, especially where there are racetracks, to let you know what the how racing will stack up for the weekend. This evening, we have with us in the very first part of the program Alan Wilson, who is really Vice President of Operations, actually the race director for the Texaco Havoline Grand Prix of Denver, which is going to take place here in August. Alan, welcome to the program tonight.
Thank you.
It's really good. We have not had you on the show yet, so I'm really excited about having you here. We were talking a little bit off the air, and one of the things we're going to talk tonight is about the event itself, how a course is set up, street safety, the design of a race course, and for the listeners, if you have any questions for Alan Wilson. He said he's willing to take any and all questions, 825-5710. But I think we'll try to get as technical as we can. And I'd like to talk about what really interests you, Alan, with this course and this event at a technical level, since we have an audience, a racing audience, that's pretty savvy to a lot of things.
I guess the best part about this track is the variety that it offers. We've just come back from Detroit, and we were at Long Beach early this year, and I designed and built the semi-airfield and semi-street track in Dallas for the Trans Am cars.
Oh, you did? The one that just took place here a month ago?
Yeah, I designed that last year, and have been running that race in Dallas for 3 years with Buddy Boren. I did the first track that they had in Fair Park for Trans Am, and I also did the Columbus 500 race, street track. So I've got a fair bit of experience on different types of track.
Right.
And the Denver one gets me because it's a bit of everything. It's got some very fast straightaways that are wide, so that you're going to get fierce racing side by side with no natural line through the corner, through the straight. And there's some straights like Long Beach, they're fast. They're 180 mile an hour, 170 mile an hour, but there's one line through them, and a fast car can really get bogged down behind a car that's just marginally slower than it. Whereas here, if you take Lincoln, if two cars get out of turn 16 onto Lincoln together, they can run parallel 3, maybe even 4 abreast, although I wouldn't recommend that, but certainly 3 abreast, and drag it down to turn 1. That's 1,800 feet, so that's a healthy straightaway.
My, and at turn 1, what is that? Is that a...
that's a sharp right-hander,
right-hander,
where the track goes from 52 feet down to 30 feet.
This is the main straight at the start-finish line.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is interesting. Oh, I see. So they're going to come out of a right-hand turn, actually.
Yeah, they'll come off Colfax at where the pit exit is.
Right.
At that stage, they probably line astern, because they've been through that very, very fast left around the north edge of the park. They'll get onto Lincoln, and it's going to be a little bit like the beginning of the main straight at Long Beach. Two cars can get off one behind the other, but if the one behind gets its traction in quickly, it's very likely that he can outdrag the other car, because he's not tucked behind him. He can run side by side. So I think drag racing is the spirit there, certainly for the first couple of 100 yards at least.
Right. Now, what else about this course? You said there were a bunch of different things that make it.
Well, the main thing is that I don't think I've come across a street track with as much overtaking potential, because when you've got overtaking take place under 2 conditions. The track's got to be wide, and you've got to have a distinct change in speed, either acceleration or deceleration. Beyond that, the only way of overtaking is slipstreaming or drafting, and very few street tracks lend themselves to that.
Well, then, is it true that so many of the races have that kind of freight train effect? There's only a few places at which you can.
Yeah, and Detroit is classic for that. It's a tough track for the drivers, and the drivers actually enjoy it. Forget the bumpiness. They like the challenge of it, and they like the fact that they're working hard. We're going to have that element, but we're also going to have the ability for the cars to actually race for position. Overtaking under braking is going to be a big issue here.
Where will the good passing corners be that you see?
Well, obviously turn 1,
right.
And that's going to be brave because, as I say, you come down from 52 feet to 32 feet.
That's on to 12th Avenue.
That's down to 12th.
Okay.
Then you're going to have opportunity to overtake coming out of turn 3, which is going on to Broadway.
Right.
Because you go from 32 back to 48 feet wide.
It's another right-hander. Okay.
Yeah. And then you've got a 1,200-foot straight, and then you've got a fast left-hander going on to 14th at Civic Center, and that's definitely going to be an overtaking point.
That's where all the concrete barriers are, where the little checkered flags are painted on them.
No. That's on the north side.
Oh, okay. That's the wrong side. Okay, got it.
This is where they turn when you turn from Broadway in front of the public library.
Right.
Okay. Then there'll be line nose to tail through the fast curves. And those curves are interesting. Talking to Scott Pruitt before he had his accident, and Ari Landake when they came here, as well as Mario.
We had Ari on the show.
Yeah, they all took that section as being probably the most interesting on the racetrack, because it's so important, because the speed's going to build up through it. And if they make a mistake in the first part or the second part or the third part, it's going to have an effect all the way down to turn 6, which is between City Hall and the U.S. Mint. So this is a case where precision driving is very, very important, getting off that turn 3 very well and then holding a fast line without making any mistakes. So that they seem to like, and that's not those type of corners just don't exist on any street track that I know of.
Lots of sharp right and left-hand turns in this. Well, there's a lot of other things in it also, but there are.
Yeah, that's inevitable with a street track, given the formality of city blocks.
Okay, so pretty standard then.
Yeah, pretty standard, but we balance that with the 2 sets of S-bends on either side of Civic Center. and then a very tricky corner at the end of Colfax where the cars turn right onto 12th and into Welton.
But that's a pretty fast right-hand turn, and then you have a sharp
very sharp braking area, and that's very, very wide. So once again, two cars traveling nose to tail. The guy in front really can't defend his position because the track is so wide that wherever he goes, there's plenty of room for someone to go inside or outside.
So this is where they're going to be out-braking one another in here, you think, or
they're
not?
going to be out-braking each other, not going into the right-hander that's Colfax onto 12th, but as they get into Welton from 12th. Okay, what they'll do is the clever guy is going to balance his car very well going through that sweeper and dive down the inside. And as I say, it's so wide that the guy who's in the front is not going to be able to defend his position.
Are there any escape exits on these turns, or is there?
Yeah, at the end of the main straight we've got an escape route.
Oh yeah, that's right.
At 3 we've got one at where Welton turns into 14th. We've got one.
Right.
But those are all fairly short, and that raises the question of safety because there's issues there. Do you have a long run-off area, or do you have a short one? And I happen to go for short ones. I believe that's by far the safer way of building a street track.
Well, let's talk about that because you said safety, street safety is one of the things you hadn't had an opportunity to talk much about. And what is it about street safety that needs to be said
Well,
here?
the first thing, there's a great difference between a street race, street track, and a permanent circuit. A permanent circuit should, by definition, always give the drivers run-off room that gives them the ability to have their accident away from the racing line and away from the spectators.
Standard road course would have that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we don't have that luxury in a street track.
Right.
So the reality is that if a driver makes a mistake, he's going to thump a concrete wall pretty quickly. The concept then becomes one of containing the accident as quickly as possible and not letting the secondary impact take over. Now, in any accident situation, the modern race car is extremely efficient in reducing the severity of the impact in that first situation. As it hits the wall for the first time, the crushable structures work, the helmets work, the seat belts work, all those things work first time. The real danger is if a car goes into a secondary or third or tertiary impact, when it cartwheels or bounces or bounces between walls. That's when people get hurt. Not so much the drivers, yes. And also spectators. There's more chance of bits flying off the car and going over the fences and stuff. So whereas some street track builders will put in a long runoff area, saying, oh, if a guy makes a mistake, give him a lot of room to get on the brakes, to switch off the engine if he's got a stuck throttle. I believe exactly the opposite. I believe that you give the guy enough room to have a harmless spin, just to overcook it to make a driver error. But if he's going to have an accident, get him into the tire walls as quickly as possible.
Get him into the what now?
The tire walls, the tire barriers.
Okay.
Because they are remarkably good at reducing the severity of the impact.
Ooh, what will okay, so I understand. You have a wreck. You either you spin out. Will you go straight into the tire walls, or will you? Okay.
You let them get into the tire walls, and you contain that accident as quickly as possible. You don't give the car an opportunity of hitting a concrete wall twice, because the second impact is the one that really does the damage.
Now, how are the tire walls constructed?
Okay, they bolted together. People laugh at the used car tire thing.
What size tires are they?
We try normally to have 13-inch, 14-inch, or 15-inch. We try never to mix them in a what we call a pallet. A tire wall is made up of 5 tires on top of each other, bolted down to the tires below them and across to the tires on either side of them, so that you have what we call a quad, 4 rows of tires.
Okay.
4 piles. Each pile is the height of the barrier, so it's 36 inches high. They're all bolted together so that if a car hits them, they don't disperse, they don't fly apart. And they bolted together in a very specific manner to give the best retardation that's possible. Done properly, they are very, very effective.
And then are they stacked across the escape exit or on that?
Typically what happens, the first 2 rows of barriers are not backed by anything. They're just tires that are freestanding, and the friction of them sliding on the asphalt
slows the impact
slows the car down. The final sets of tires are backed by concrete wall, because ultimately you cannot have a car penetrate through to the spectators.
Right.
So you slow the car down. Once a car hits those tires, if they don't break up, the tires grab, it gets tied up in the suspension and everything, and the sheer friction just brings everything down like jumping into a mud pond. It just sucks you in and slows you down.
How high are the tire walls?
36 inches.
Oh, how high are the concrete walls?
36 inches.
What if a car starts bounding, and what if he starts tumbling?
Well, that's the reason for containing it quickly. You see, the tumble never happens in the first impact. It happens after the first impact.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So you contain it in that first impact, and you prevent the ability of the accident getting out of hand. Now, so many times, and there's some permanent circuits in America that are terribly bad. Sears Point is one, where you can have the most minor incident going off the track, and the runoff area is so rough that it totally aggravates the accident. Bob Wallach had a classic accident that totaled a Porsche several years ago.
You know, Alan, we have about 1 minute left here before this segment ends. What else do we need to say? I want to have you on again soon, too, to continue this conversation. But we kind of need to go. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we
I guess I can't think of any street race track that I know of that's going to provide more aggressive racing than the Denver track.
Okay, well, it sounds exciting, and let's continue this conversation. It was certainly a pleasure to talk to you at a technical level about the race coming up. Thanks, Alan.
Okay, John.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, that's Alan Wilson, the race director for the Texaco Havoline Grand Prix. We will be back. Let's see, we're going to talk with Gudy Gaskill here on AM 710. We're going to talk about the Colorado Mountain Trail when we come back. And then we're going to talk about bungee jumping at 20 of. We'll be back on AM 710 after this.
People are always asking why Chevron Chevrolet Geo is the place to buy their new car or truck. So here's a few reasons. Chevron has Colorado's largest selection with over $10 million in new Chevy and Geo inventory. And when you buy your new Chevrolet or Geo from Chevron, they include free oil and filter changes for as long as you own your car. And they offer convenient Saturday service hours. Plus, Chevron offers 2% APR financing every day on new and used, with 25% down and 24 months maximum excluding sale units. Speaking of used cars, Chevron always has over $1 million in used cars and trucks to choose from, all with a 10-day trial exchange privilege. That means if you're not completely satisfied, you can exchange it for another used auto within 10 days of the time you made your purchase. That takes the worry out of buying from Chevron. So remember, there's no better place to buy your new or used car. Chevron Chevrolet Geo. I-25 in the Boulder exit, open till midnight. It's hot fun in the summer sun right now at your local Napa Auto Parts store. Get in on the fun and excitement as the best in NHRA Winston Drag Racing comes to Bandimere Speedway, and Napa Auto Parts presents the Champion Spark Plug Super Series. Get up close to the action with a free pit pass from any participating Napa store. But the fun doesn't stop at the Speedway. Everyone loves a little water fun. Napa and Valvoline bring you this special offer for a Valvoline Lake Racer, a revolutionary designed raft great for summer fun at the lake, beach, or pool. This $19.95 value is free with the purchase of only 12 quarts of Valvoline motor oil, on sale now at Napa. 99 cents a quart for 10W40 or 10W30. Get started now on your hot fun in the summer sun with a lake racer from Valvoline and free pit passes to the Champion Spark Plug Super Series. Presented by Napa Auto Parts stores June 22nd and 23rd at Bandimere Speedway. It's hot fun in the summer sun with Napa Auto Parts stores.
Hi, this is Dr. Frank Martin for Advanced Alternative Healthcare. Are you tired of constantly increasing healthcare costs? Are you tired of no results or no relief? Then I suggest you call us at 322-4300. Our consultations are free, and we will do a complete blood chemistry for just $20. You shouldn't have to live with discomfort or pain or the possible side effects of pain-relieving drugs. Call us today, and we'll begin working to put your life back on track. That's 322-4300.
Coming up, the Burt Toyota Sports Fitness segment on Jann Scott Tonight. Can't sleep tonight? Did you take the job home with you again? Well, so has he. It's Jann Scott at Work,
on AM 710, the business station.
Okay, joining us now is Gudy Gaskill, who is the founder, a retiree who started the Colorado Trail, which is a 470-mile trail from Denver to Durango, actually from Littleton to Durango. Gudy, welcome to the program tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Are you a Denverite?
No, I'm a Goldenite.
A Goldenite, okay. And you're a Colorado native? No?
No,
okay.
I'm not. But I've lived in the same house for 32 years. For most people, that would be a native.
That would be more than a native.
That's right.
That would be a gunslinger.
Right.
Okay. And first of all, what is the Colorado Trail, and how did you come up with this idea to get started with it?
Well, it's nice of you to give me the saying that I came up with it. Actually, I didn't come up with it.
Okay.
Bill Lucas, who was a regional forester for the Rocky Mountain region back in 1973, and also I must give credit to the editor of the then Colorado magazine, just had lunch one day, and they came up with a long-distance trail in the state of Colorado. And so they had a group that just said, well, all the people who are interested in, let's just ask them and see what they thought. So I was at the very first meeting that they had.
We hadn't had a long-distance trail before this one?
Not in Colorado.
Oh, really? I thought we had something that traversed the entire continental divide. No, huh?
Tell me about it.
Oh, I don't
No.
know. Hey, I don't know.
No, we really don't. No, I think probably one of the longest, we had two fairly long trails. One is the main range trail built by the CCC back in the 1930s, and that's along the front range of the collegiate range. It probably went 30 miles or 35 miles, 40 miles maybe at the most. And then we have the Rainbow Trail that traverses around on one side of the Sangre de Cristos. That was also built in the earlies. And that probably goes about 40 miles. I may be a little off on that. That's as long as a long-distance trail that we had. But what's so unique about the trail, the Colorado Trail, and I know you didn't ask me what it was, but I could tell you.
I'm interested.
Is that it's been completely built by volunteers.
Yeah.
I mean, 100% volunteers. We don't have an office staff. We don't have anything. We built the trail with volunteers.
Was it just completed?
It was actually dedicated in 1988.
Oh.
So that would be 2 years ago.
I remember you would take entire groups of people out, and they'd kind of get fed and work on it all summer. And
That's
things.
right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, a lot of publicity around that.
Yeah, like 1,000 or 1,200 people per summer we would take out, and they would work for a week. And we would set up the base camps and supply the leaders, and the Forest Service supplied the tools and the hard hats and the technical advice. And we proceeded to build about a mile of trail a week with a base camp of perhaps 17 to 20 people. Now so you can see it's taken us a while, since 1974 actually, to build 470 miles.
Well, that's a heck of a long way to go.
Well, people are always saying, how come it takes a week to build a mile? Well, it's so fast to drive it when you're in a car, but when you start walking it and you start inching it with a let's just say if you were in a garden and you were hoeing, spading your length of your garden, just think how long that takes.
And then you have to have the direction of it. You need to know that you're on track, like you're headed to Durango and not to Kansas.
That's right.
And then you have all the well, I mean, you do, don't you? And then you have all the pitfalls, the ups and downs of wherever you might be in a particular mile. I mean, you could run into all kinds of things. Like, did you run into any snake nests or anything?
No, I'm afraid we don't have any snakes in the mountains. That's one thing that the mountains of Colorado are blessed with. Very few snakes.
Oh.
And the only area where we have low altitude actually is on the Durango end, which is not too low, and on the Littleton end, up Waterton Canyon to, up to the Lost Creek Campground, and that's about the lowest altitude we have, and that already ranges between 5,000 and 7,000 feet. And by the time you're 8,000 feet, why the snakes are so sluggish, you can just forget about the snakes, so don't even talk about it. We never even seen one while we've been building all these years.
Well, okay, let's see. What are some of the biggest pitfalls that you ran into? What are some of the things that bogged it down?
That's exactly what you hit it on the nail. What bogged us down are bogs. If you can imagine
Yeah.
seepages, miles of seepages, and there's no way to get around the seepages. Those have been some of our pitfalls.
How do you build a trail through that? You have to bring the dirt out there. You have to wheelbarrow it out and build a little road right across the. Is that what you do?
That's interesting. Actually, we don't do that. We're a little more modern than that. We use a material called geotextile, and we place the geotextile, drain it as well as we can, place the geotextile on top of it, and this material actually is used underneath highways. When they build brand new highways, and then put gravel wherever we have to haul the gravel from in buckets from miles around, and place the gravel on top of the geotextile.
You walk the gravel in with buckets.
We walk the gravel in with buckets. We have not used the wheelbarrow on the full length of the trail.
Why not?
Just because we're so far in most of the times, and also we cross 6 wilderness areas, and there are no wheelbarrows or chainsaws allowed. Plus mountain bikes are not allowed in the wilderness areas. All the other areas we could have used
for building a trail.
Mechanized equipment. That's right.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and not only that, we just don't go out and build a trail. It took us years to inventory what was out there. The interesting thing is that we took a swath on the map about 25 miles wide from Denver to Durango, and had students and people for several summers inventory everything that was in that 25-mile swath.
From here to there?
From here to there.
Oh, come on.
That's right. And
no, come on. That's got to take forever.
Well, it did take all summer long for several summers.
A lot of students on LSD to do that. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It was in whole teams did that. And then when you came back with this inventory, we had to take a look and see, where did it connect up within each other? You couldn't just say, well, this trail goes here and this trail, that looks pretty good. These trails had to connect up. And if they didn't connect up, then we connected them.
Oh.
And that's how the trail was actually built. It wasn't necessarily built from scratch all the way. We picked up trails and old jeep roads and logging roads and Indian trails and deer trails, wherever we could.
Providing they were headed north and south kind of thing?
Right,
What direction were you going from Littleton? Was it directly north-south, or did it...
No, we really kind of zog around. We had west, and then we had north, and we had west, and we had north again, and then we had west, and we had north. It's a zigzag, and the reason we have that zigzag is that we try to stay in public lands as long as we possibly could. In fact, it's all in public lands. We only have 1 or 2 right-of-ways that we had to acquire.
So you really only had to deal with the state or the feds in order to get permission to...
With the Department of Agriculture, that's right.
Yeah, otherwise if it were private land, then you have to go to the landowner and get all kinds of things written up and...
Well, can also not be very pleasant if you're a landowner and you build a house in a cul-de-sac and suddenly somebody wants to build a trail through your cul-de-sac. Your privacy is gone.
Well, were you near civilization in this trail?
No. The only place that we actually go through civilization, believe it or not, between 470 miles is through Copper Mountain ski area. We come down off the range between, 10-mile range between Breckenridge and Copper Mountain. We come off of that, cross the highway that you would go if you're going to go up to Leadville, walk through Copper Mountain, and then go up Guller Creek, which then heads south out of Copper Mountain towards Camp Hale, or I don't know. Anyway, it heads south.
We're talking about the Colorado Trail tonight with Gudy Gaskill, who is the inspirer, not the founder. The founder?
It's called the mother.
The mother. Oh, the mother of the Colorado Trail. Oh, my goodness. There you go, of course. Now, and you're also a retiree?
Yes.
And can I ask how old you are?
Well, I just say I'm in my 60s.
You are
getting in the middle 60s there.
In your mid-60s. And,
right.
And you actually, did you spend several years on the trail? I mean, did you...
I've actually been working on it since 1974.
Oh, my.
That's right.
Picking and shoveling? I mean, were you actually out there?
Oh, every summer. This summer I'll be out there only 8 weeks. Ordinarily I'm out there about 10 weeks.
What would you do out there for 8 weeks this summer?
Oh, you take a Pulaski or a McLeod or any of the other the tools, and you work on the trail.
Wait a minute, what's a McLeod?
Well, they are actually firefighting tools, and a McLeod looks like a great big rake, wide rake, about a foot deep, and it's sharp on one end and has teeth on the other. So one side you can cut roots, and the other side you can scrape.
Okay, I know what a Pulaski is. That's a pickaxe, right, or a grub axe?
It's a grub axe with an axe on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, it's double-bladed. Axe on one side, and flip it over in your hand as you're throwing it over your head, and have the axe side come down to cut the root, and then flip it over and have a deep cut into the soil. Right.
You know, I spent a lot of years using a pickaxe and a grub axe.
Oh, you're a firefighter.
No.
No.
I used to shape swimming pools and dig a lot of dirt.
Hey, how would you like to volunteer for a trail crew? We could use a strong person like you, someone with experience.
Actually, I was thinking, I noticed that in Niwot they're doing one this Saturday. They're cutting out a trail and they're asking for volunteers, and that just has to be a wonderful way to spend, especially if you're a business executive and you work in downtown Denver in one of the skyscrapers, to maybe kind of take your family and disappear onto the Colorado Trail for a few weeks and do some real work.
You know, you can get your aggression out. You know, seriously, I have talked to people who are my age who are, you know, they've grown up with hard physical work, and they said, I've never worked so hard in my life, ever. But, you know, we're an age where we don't do hard physical work. We may be out running and we may be out bicycling. That's not physical work. That's cardiovascular work.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I want to tell you, though, one thing that has kept all of the volunteers together, and they keep coming back year after year, even if they say, I've never worked so hard in my life, is the pride they have in the work they've done and the camaraderie that they establish among the people that they work with for a full week.
How can
you... One day these people come from all over the United States and from Canada and from Japan and from Germany. I don't know how they hear about it, except we've had a lot of publicity in national magazines. And they write and they ask, could I come out for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks? And some people come for a whole summer.
Well, let's do this. Let's go talk to Joe in Englewood. Joe, you have a question for Gudy?
Well, yes, I've been keeping track of that trail since they started it, and it usually comes out in the paper. But I am never able to, because I work, I'm never able to go out and work on it. But I sure am interested in it. Maybe this summer I could go out for a week, and I just wondered if you would be working on it during the month of August.
Yes.
Well, good question. How can you become a volunteer, right?
Yes.
Okay,
right.
Listeners, get your pens and papers out. Write this down. Very important information coming up. Could save your life in the long run. Change your marriage, maybe. Change you.
Yeah, definitely change your longevity. I can tell you for sure.
Either that or end it quickly.
I just happened to turn my radio on to hear.
Yeah.
And I said, there she is.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, how do you become a volunteer?
Yeah, you can become a volunteer by writing the foundation, the Colorado Trail Foundation. And actually the foundation is, as I said, no one is paid. And the foundation headquarters come out of my spare bedroom. And the address is our home address. And it's 548 Pine, P-I-N-E, Song, S-O-N-G, Trail. So if you say it fast, it sounds like Pine Song Trail.
Yeah.
And it's Golden, 80401. And just ask for the trail crew schedules. We have about 10 crews. We're actually having 30 crews this summer plus 43 maintenance crews going out. So totally we have 77 crews going out. We have about 10 crews that have vacancies, and we'd love to fill them up. It would be great.
Thanks for your call, Joe. We have about, around 4 minutes left here, Gudy, before we have to take a break and go into another segment. What else do we... I have another question. How did you keep on course? I mean, you can be in the middle of the woods. How do you know you're headed in the right direction?
Well, because I go out and flag it. I've been out with districts in the complete cooperation with we work with 11 forest districts. And they've just been fantastic. And between the two of us, we go on out and flag. And if you can't read a compass and read a map, then you shouldn't be out there flagging.
do they help you survey it? Do you have some surveying?
Yes. Yeah? Yes, it's a cooperative. It's been a cooperative effort. It's been fantastic.
Now, where does the trail begin in Littleton?
Right at Waterton Canyon. Now, you can in Waterton Canyon, as if you take Highway Wadsworth out to Martin Marietta, and it's right there. And there's a big trailhead, big parking area. And it's very heavily used. It's where the Platte River comes out, and just goes across the stile, and it's the old railroad track.
Now, when
you go for 7 miles up the railroad track and then come into the trail.
Now, when you start walking the trail, are there? Can you branch off? And are there campgrounds along the way?
There are no campgrounds. You just need to camp whenever you get tired and find a nice area you can camp. We'll be monitoring that. If that becomes abusive and overused, then we'll have to establish campgrounds.
And if you're going to hike the whole thing, are there places where you can jump off?
Yes. As a matter of fact, if you would purchase the guidebook, it's called Official Guidebook of the Colorado Trail, That whole guidebook is completely segmented. It's segmented for day hikes, where you can go in and come out every single day along the way. And in 5 weeks' time or 6 weeks' time, it actually takes 6 weeks if you did the segments, you would end up in Durango.
Now, has anybody hiked it from one end to the other yet?
Oh, I have. A lot of people have. In fact, today I was out doing recon flagging trail up at Camp Hale. And for you young people, I'm sure you don't know where Camp Hale is.
Oh, they remember, because we had folks from Camp Hale on. Just last week, we had Bob Carlson and Bob Knowlton. They were at Camp Hale in the...
Sure, I know both of them.
Do you?
Sure.
Well, there you have it.
That's
it's
my
a small
age.
town, isn't it?
Yes. Well, we were doing a flagging there where we're putting out a trail crew next week, a whole week, and they'll just be building a new trail, taking it off the old road and putting it into the woods. But anyway, I was going to say, well, when we were coming down there and we were talking about what the tools we need for next week, 2 backpackers came on down, heavily loaded, and they had already started from the Durango end, and they had just discarded their snowshoes, and they had gone up over a lot of the snowfields at the Durango end on snowshoes, and were on their way to Durango, or to Denver, and wanted to know how much more snow they'd have to run in, and they had started 4 weeks ago.
Let's do this. We have just about 1 minute left here, actually.
Yes.
30 seconds. So before we say goodbye, we'll just give the address one more time for the Colorado Mountain Trail, and that is 548, is it?
548.
Pine Song Trail. Golden, what's the zip?
80401.
Thanks, Gudy.
Love to hear from you.
Good talking to you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. Sounds like a fun summer. We'll be back on Jann Scott tonight and talk about bungee jumping. That's where you feel suicidal. You tie an elastic band to your leg and you jump off a 6,000-foot bridge. We'll be back here with a man who's done just that and lived through it.
Here's a business tip. The Colorado Business Magazine. That's it. Each month, Colorado Business Magazine gives you an in-depth look at business in Colorado. You'll hear from top business and government leaders in special features and cover stories. A subscription to Colorado Business Magazine is one of the best ways to keep up with business in Colorado. And when you subscribe right now to the Colorado Business Magazine, your annual subscription of 12 issues is just $18. That's a 25% savings off the $24 annual rate. Plus, you'll get their popular annual Top 300 Public Companies issue free. It's their official report card for businesses in Colorado. And as a special subscription bonus, the Colorado Business Magazine is giving you a chance to win a free fax machine. A $900 value, free. Just subscribe and you're registered. Call the Colorado Business Magazine now to start your subscription and to register to win the free fax machine. Colorado Business Magazine, 798-1274, 798-1274.
Spitfire Automotive is a high-performance, complete machine shop. Spitfire has complete cam grinding and engine balancing. Spitfire also does align, boring, honing, and block grinding with a BHJ block true block prep. Spitfire Automotive at 903 Federal Boulevard. Call Mac or Elaine for all your engine building needs. 573-8515. That's 573-8515. Or stop on by the shop at 903 Federal Boulevard. Spitfire Automotive.
If you're a fitness or sports-minded business person, this message is for you. Head to the gym, softball diamond, or dojo in style with a Gold Coast Velcro workout baggie from Clarence Thatcher's Karate Studio in Leesdale Shopping Center. For just $26, that's at least $10 less than the mall price. Choose from 4 sizes in blue and gray, hot pink and blue, and many others. The Karate Studio has what you need at the right price. Gold Coast workout baggies. Just $26 at the Karate Studio, Leesdale Shopping Center.
And now, the most dangerous man in late-night radio. It's Jann Scott Tonight, where the topic of business is taken seriously.
Carl Finicaro's with us here, a bungee jumper Bungee jumping of Colorado. You actually own a company?
Well, yeah, we started a little organization, Jan.
You have to pull that mic right up close to your...
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started a little organization actually last fall, where people with the psyche and the willingness to go jump themselves off a bridge connected to a bungee cord can do just that.
Now, how did you get started in this? All right, how did bungee jumping get started?
Well, actually, it has its origin years and years ago. It's an age-old ritual of the land divers of Pentecost Island. It's in the South Pacific.
The what divers?
The Pentecost Island land divers.
Land divers. That's like
divers.
land sharks.
Well,
Oh,
a little
okay.
bit different.
All
These
right.
guys have a little bit different mentality.
Uh-huh.
These guys would collect liana vines and they'd wind them together into cords.
Uh-huh.
And they'd make these huge wooden towers, and they'd leap from them attached to these ankles, with the cords attached to the ankles. Now, a good leap not only signified courage, but a plentiful yam harvest.
Where is this?
This is in the South Pacific.
Yeah.
An island called Pentecost Island.
Pentecost Islands, yeah.
Pentecost Island, yeah.
I wonder why they were called Pentecost Islands. What if it had anything to do with the Pentecostals?
Who knows?
Okay.
Who knows? Anyway,
But, yeah.
more recently, the sport found its way to Oxford University, where a group called the
Now,
Oxford...
how long ago was this?
This was in 1979.
Th-
Oxford University took it over.
No, before when were the Pentecostalites doing
Oh,
it?
I have no idea how many generations and years back this goes. Generations, I'm sure. But
Okay.
more recently, in 1979, the Oxford University Dangerous Sports Club got together and donned some tuxedos and top hats and with some pretty long bungee cords jumped off the Royal Gorge.
Wait a minute. Now, before we do any further, we're going to have George Bracksic join us here in a second. And he is standing outside his house amongst the crickets, staring at the flat irons in Boulder. George, are you outside there?
Yeah, Jan, we're out here with the mountain lions, and the lions are interested in bungee jumping too, but I understand they use their tails, and I wonder, is this dangerous? Can mountain lions regrow their tails after they lose?
Okay. Anyways, we have Carl Finicaro here.
Hi, Carl.
How you doing, George?
Good.
So you were about to tell us that these crazy people at Cambridge University?
No, Oxford University.
Oh, Oxford. They should have more brains than that.
Yeah, they came out in 1979 and jumped off the Royal Gorge.
Now, is this computer? I mean, the Royal Gorge. How do you? I mean, do you have to figure this out mathematically before you do something like that?
Yes, you really do. Now, the extent to which they analyzed that particular physics and mathematical problem, I really don't know. I would guess that they just made a judgment call and went for it, because they never really seemed to put a lot of brain work into what they did.
So what was the outcome of that? They all survived? And
Yeah, they all survived. What
got
they
arrested?
Well, no, it was actually done with the authority of the Royal Gorge Bridge Authority, but what they didn't...
Let's tell everybody what the Royal Gorge Bridge is and where it is.
Royal Gorge Bridge, right outside of Canyon City, Colorado here, just probably an hour due west of Pueblo.
And it goes over a 1,000-foot deep canyon, right?
Yeah, it spans the Arkansas River Gorge. It's 1,051 feet high, and it's if you've ever been on it, it's a very fun thing to be on, because it sways an awful lot with the wind, and it's not at all very structurally stable. But it stands there pretty well.
When these guys jumped, how far down toward the river did they go?
To my knowledge, they used 400 foot of cord, which would probably put them close to 700 feet on their initial plunge, all the way down.
After it's stretched?
With the full stretch extension, yes.
Now, what are these bungee cords? Let me give the phone number. If you have any questions here for Carl Finicaro, who is our guest tonight, he's here in studio, bungee jumping, Colorado. And then, of course, we have George Bracksic, editor of Rock and Ice magazine, who's sitting in his back porch in Boulder, co-hosting the show as he usually does. He refuses to come to Denver, and heck, I don't blame him. 825-5710. What are they made of?
Well, actually, there are a couple different types. Currently, I should back up and say that the sport is, to my knowledge, being done in 4 places. It's done in New Zealand, France, Northern California, and now here in Colorado. In New Zealand and France, they use a type of cord that, if you looked at it and held it, you'd think it were about a few hundred real long rubber bands held end to end and binded together with tape every 3 or 4 feet. In California and here in Colorado, we use a completely different type of cord. We use military bungee cords. These cords are used to reduce the opening shock of a parachute when the military drops tanks out of aircraft.
They what?
when they drop tanks out of aircraft.
Say what, George?
How much impact can a bungee like that hold?
Each individual cord can withstand in excess of 1,300 pounds of static braking strength. Now, we use at least 3 in parallel when we have a jumper go for both redundancy and to get a real good bounce.
Right, and because a falling body ends up weighing about 2,000 pounds after it falls.
Well, actually, we only get a loading of about 3 to 4 Gs. So you take your body weight and multiply it by 3 or 4, and that's the total load that you're going to be putting on the cords. Now, if you're using, say, 3 cords, the 1,300 pounds of static braking strength goes to 3,900. So you've got almost 2 tons of static braking strength holding roughly 600 to 800 pounds of force. So the margin of safety you have there is pretty extreme. So it's very safe, and we've had absolutely no problems with the cords at all. And I should say that the cords are actually the weakest link in the whole system from your body all the way up to the bridge. So it's a real strong setup.
Okay, we're going to do this. I'm going to tell you about Ralph Schomp Oldsmobile. Then we're going to go for another break, and we'll come back here and talk more about bungee jumping, specifically how they do it, if it hurts, and how you can do it, and when it will be next visibly seen here in the Denver area, if ever. However, Oldsmobiles. Ralph Schomp sells Oldsmobiles. They over at 5700 South Broadway. My brother used to have a 56 Oldsmobile, 88. But if you remember those, they were built like, they look like prehistoric animals. And the new ones do not look like prehistoric animals. They look like something from outer space. They look sophisticated at 6,200 RPMs. And when you have an engine like the new 180 horsepower high output Quad 4 sitting underneath you that really comes to life at the higher RPMs, chances are good that you'll be picking up more women or men than you could ever possibly imagine. You should look at this car. It's extremely beautiful, no matter what age you are. So, the Cutlass Supreme International Series Coupe was engineered to help you feel like you really belong on the strip. There you have it. You want to look young, feel young, you want action, you buy the Cutlass Supreme, or you go to sleep alone at night. Ralph Schomp, 5700 South Broadway. We'll be back on
Racket World Athletic Clubs, the clubs in a class by themselves, invite you to join them during June at Wimbledon. Tennis galore for one and all, plus a discounted initiation fee of just $75. During June, they're offering a free week's pass just for the asking and a chance for you to join in their Wimbledon tennis fun. Come in to register for a free tennis rating clinic, or better yet, schedule a lesson with one of their pros. It's Racket World's way of saying yes to tennis and to help you get started in your fitness schedule. So come to Racket World in the month of June for Wimbledon tennis, a free week, a special initiation fee offer, and much, much more. Call Monaco at 758-7080, Inverness at 790-7777, or Ridge at 979-4940. Call today and start your summer off with a smash. Racket World 790-7777. The clubs in a class by themselves.
When you hear the word Toyota, what do you think of? Value? Quality? Hopefully you think of both and Burt Toyota. That's because Burt is synonymous with Toyota in Denver, and they've built a reputation for selling Toyotas for less. But the people at Burt Toyota know that watching you drive off in your new vehicle is just the beginning. That's why Burt has built one of the finest service department staffs and facilities available in the entire Denver area. If you're looking for a little extra room and comfort, you must take a close look at the incredible 1990 Toyota Previa van. It's the sleekest looking 4 wheels on the road, but its beauty is more than skin deep. It's a breeze to drive, luxuriously comfortable, and very affordable. Maybe you're looking for sporty excitement. Then Burt Toyota suggests the 1990 MR2 sports car. It's fun to drive and dependable too.
If you're shopping for a new or used vehicle, don't miss a trip to 5460 South Broadway. It's easy to get to, just south of Bellevue. Burt means Toyota.
That's Paul Schaefer and the band, friends of ours from New Canaan, Connecticut. We have with us Carl Finicaro with us here in studio. Does bungee jumping, teaches people how to do it, and George Bracksic on his back porch in Boulder, Colorado, keeping the mountain lions at bay. Now, what was it we were going to talk about here? We were going to talk about
how you and I can go bungee jumping. Just what you always wanted, right?
Good question. Well, I'll do it. That's something I really would do, as long as my head didn't fall off.
Well, we kind of... I can't guarantee everything, Jan. Actually, I have a little course where if people are willing and able, and usually most people are able, they can come on out and I'll show them how to do it. I'll teach them how to jump off a bridge. Currently, we're jumping on weekends out at a bridge. The site is about 3.5 hours outside of Denver in southeast Colorado over a reservoir. And it's there's a good amount of water underneath the bridge, so you can go in and hit the water pretty good on your first jump. And
do you want to hit the water on your first
jump?
jump?
Oh, sure. It's just an added sensation to the
I see.
otherwise fanatic
It's almost
feeling.
like having sex.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Like the outcome, the end of it, hitting the water. It just, I don't know. Didn't it strike you that way? I don't know. Maybe I must have it on my mind or something. I don't know.
You always have it on your mind, Jim.
Oh, let's not get carried away.
But it does have that. So go ahead.
Well, anyway, it really doesn't take any skill or physical abilities, but it's essentially a psychological challenge. So the only requirement is really the psyche to try it.
Okay, now let's say I've never done it before, so I come with you, and what do you tell me?
Well, I would go through kind of the history, some of what we talked about earlier tonight, and then I'd go through and show you exactly how we set up our harness setup and our rig. And
how do I get rigged? How do you rig something?
Well, typically people see it the way it's been seen most recently in the Reebok commercial that was pulled from the air. They see it attached to the ankles, and that's a common concern about knee joints and hips and things like that. We use a seat harness, so it goes around your waist and around your butt and your crotch and your legs, and then there's a shoulder harness as well that goes around your back and connects up to your chest. So it essentially holds on to your entire torso.
Oh, you don't tie it to your ankle then?
No, it doesn't. In fact, all your limbs are free to kick around on your way down.
Do you ever tie it to your ankle?
No, but if we do want to go in upside down, and typically people like to do that a lot, all we do is we use the same harness setup, and we'll turn you upside down, tie your ankles together, and put the cord through it, and you'll go into the water head first.
Why did they yank the Reebok commercial?
I'm sorry?
Why did they yank the Reebok
Well,
commercial?
I don't think the American public was quite ready for it. Very controversial if no one saw it. It showed two people in a bungee jumping contest, both very close to each other, and they jumped off a bridge. The bridge was 260 feet high. It was up in Washington State, and the result of the commercial was one person hanging from the cords with his Reeboks on, and the other individual who had Nikes assumed it alleged that he plummeted to his death.
Oh, no wonder that's not funny, but some people have a lot of nerve. I don't have a sick mind. I must have had too much coffee. Maybe not enough sleep tonight. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, it was a real good, a lot of good film was shot on that. The commercial itself took about 5 days.
But no one would get hurt doing this with you if we went to the bridge?
No, we've supervised over 100 jumps now. We've had absolutely no incident of injury or anything even close to it.
How much money does it cost to do this?
$40, and you'll get 2 jumps out of it.
$40?
$40. That's it.
That's cheap enough. That's for the thrill of your life.
You're damn right.
I mean, it's got to be the thrill of your life.
It is the thrill of your life. The feeling of bungee jumping is absolutely incredible. It certainly encompasses a wide scope of emotions. It starts off with the decision, which is a very difficult decision to jump off. I mean, I've witnessed people that were, seemingly cognate, but they described to me that their hands were frozen to the bridge. They lost complete motor control of their hands. They couldn't move.
Oh yeah, because you have to jump. I mean, you're free falling for a while.
You bet. And once you jump off, your body undergoes what's known as sensory overload. The feeling is so new to your body that your brain really loses the ability to deal with it properly.
Well, could it be much different than jumping out of an airplane?
It is. I've done both.
Well, I have too,
skydived, and when you're in a plane, you're in a completely different environment. You've got the plane, and when they open that cabin door, there's wind rustling around, there's the hum of the engine, and you've got all this gear on your back. Well, on a bridge, I think just about everybody's walked up to the edge of a bridge and looked over, and then with a paranoid side effect, looked behind them to see if anyone was going to push them off. Well, here you're going to actually crawl over the rail and make the decision and jump. That's the one difference. Another difference is the fact that on your way down, you're going right at the ground and you're getting really close. So the change in perspective from your visual sense is absolutely incredible.
Yes, George, go ahead.
Yeah, it seems like a big matter of trust too. You have to trust Carl Finocchiaro here to set everything up right, and trust all this equipment to work properly, and trust the computer program that's calculated your weight and the velocity you're going to be following.
Yeah, that's really true, and the safety of the sport is something that does not go. We certainly don't discount that. Before we use any of the cords, we throw sandbags off to to make sure that it's going to fall to the exact length that we predict with our computer programs. And I should say that I've been through the mathematics and physics of it. I'm an aerospace engineer and have been with the defense industry for about 7 years now. So.
Well, we should either feel fairly safe or not so safe in your hands, one or the other, right?
But if you don't feel completely safe, then you're going to have more fun, because we like doing these things because it is dangerous.
Well, like in rock climbing and rappelling, you always have the wall around you. This thing, you're open, huh?
That's right. Rock climbing and things like that, you're really dependent primarily on your hands, and the gear's secondary.
Well, they're playing David Letterman's music, and you know what that means.
We're out of here.
We have to get out of town.
I want to do it.
Yeah, me too, I think, except you just scared me away. Anyways, we'll be back tomorrow with more. Listen, George, thank you for being on the show. Carl, thank you.
Thank you.
And you guys, we'll see you later.
Thank you.
This has been the Burt Toyota Sports Fitness Half Hour on Jann Scott Tonight. AM 710, the business station, KNUS, Denver. Direct from ABC News, I'm Ashley Martella. There will not be a constitutional amendment to protect the American flag, at least not during this congressional term. Although U.S. representatives voted 254 to 177 in favor of the amendment, it was not enough. A two-thirds majority was needed. ABC's Vic Ratner says it's a blow to the White House and a boon to a powerful Democrat.
It's a major defeat for President Bush, who put a lot of his personal prestige on the line for the flag amendment. He called wavering members on the phone and still saw it lose by a wide margin. And it's the first big victory for Speaker Tom Foley, who personally convinced many Democrats that a vote against the amendment would not cost them their jobs.
17 Republicans joined 160 Democrats in voting against the amendment. The death toll from the major earthquake in northern Iran is now said to be at least 25,000. In London, ABC's Chris Powell has seen the first TV pictures of the disaster.
They showed devastated villages and towns, and in one unidentified town, no building remained standing among a tangle of concrete and metal girders. They also showed the main route from Tehran to the Caspian through the Outlaws Mountains, which were blocked by huge rockfalls.
The quake, which measured 7.7 on the Richter scale, is one of the strongest ever recorded in the area. Tens of thousands of New Yorkers...
I stuffed a fish for her, and she complained because the fish had its head on. So I decided that I would go to bed. And
I came outside, we saw him run outside the place, and he had been looking, he'd been shot in the leg, I guess, and he had been running away. And another guy said that he had blood on his shirt, and basically there were shots going off. He heard some of them.
Officials say Pugh is believed to have killed 2 people over the weekend in Jacksonville, Florida, and had 2 prior felony convictions. Convicted murderer John Edward Swindler was executed tonight in Arkansas's electric chair, the first execution in the state in 26 years. "We're dealing with almighty God, nature itself," says the National Weather Service meteorologist. He says eastern Ohio got hit last week so fast by flash floods that a warning would not have helped. Several of the 21 people who died in the floods were buried today. 13 others remain missing. Frederick Ostby of the Severe Storms Forecast Center says so far this year, Mother Nature's been having a field day, spawning nearly 800 tornadoes nationwide.
It ranks right up there with the years of 1973 and 1982. Both those years ended up with over 1,000 tornadoes. And at the rate 1990 is going, we could end up in that same range.
The National Weather Service says the Midwest and the South have been hit with the worst weather in 4 decades. Romanian television says 3 opposition leaders are under arrest following last week's anti-government protests in Bucharest. The U.S. ambassador to Romania, Alan Green, is critical of President Jann use of minors to break up the demonstrations last week.
Frankly, I am shocked by what I've seen and heard. It is clear that the democratic process in Romania has come to a stop.
Hundreds of anti-government protesters occupied Bucharest's main square today, saying they're appalled that minors beat scores of people and destroyed the offices of 2 opposition parties last week with the government's sanction. ANC leader Nelson Mandela in Toronto, second stop on his Canadian tour. Earlier today in Ottawa, Mandela called on Canada's parliament to continue economic sanctions against South Africa. Consumer Group says the chemical 111 depletes the ozone layer and needs to be eliminated. The Natural Resources Defense Council is urging us not to buy products containing the chemical. Atlanta Sundries uses 111 in its spot and paint remover Goof Off. The company's president, Larry Owen, says he'll stop using it.
If they think that 111 trichloroethane is not a good product, good chemical to have in a product, then that's good enough for me. It's not that important in my formula. It's a relatively small amount.
Defense Counsel says 111 is responsible for a big part of ozone depletion. And the House has okayed and sent the Senate a measure that provides $50 million next year to help poor women get screening for breast and cervical cancer. For the ABC Direction Network, I'm Marcia Salter.
Coy's Custom Wheel and Tire has the largest selection of wheels in the Rocky Mountain region. Come down to the giant showroom and warehouse at 3301 West Alameda and see what Coy's is all about. In tires, Coy's has new, used, and blems. In wheels, Coy's has all types, all brands, Krager, KMC, Weld Keystones, Westerns. Coy's has a full line of wheel accessories, too. Coy's Custom Wheel and Tire, 3301 West Alameda. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday, 9 to 4.
RC World and Track has racing Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday nights. That's off-road, radio-controlled model race cars. On Friday night, RC World and Track has sprint car racing on their oval track and sled pulling, too. Beginners are welcome. Mom and Dad, bring the kids. Heck, bring yourself. RC racing is big-time adult fun, too. There's no admission charge at this racetrack. Spectators are free. RC World and Track has a full line of radio-controlled cars and parts. It's the largest track in Denver, and the staff is friendly, too. That's RC World and Track at 2788 South Federal, next to Champion Auto Parts.
And now, the only motorhead in corporate radio 5 nights a week. It's Jann Scott Tonight on AM 710, the business station.
That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all night. Rolene just told me I was cute. What do you know? She's our wonderful, faithful engineer who stays after when we get very busy. And Mondays and Fridays are really busy on this show. We're going to cover the national results. We have World of Outlaws for you. Just everything all across the country, including the Grand Prix motorcycle race that took place on the continent. And congratulations to Mike Snow. He pulled 3rd place in Detroit in the ARS cars. Nice run out there, Mike. And let's see, who else did something wonderful? Price Cobb, unbelievable, wins the Le Mans. I mean, I can't believe this. Here's a guy from Evergreen, Colorado, okay, a Colorado native, wins the Le Mans 24-hour race. Where is it? It's on page 3D in the Post. Hardly a mention in the news, and this should be on the front page. This is like a major, I mean, you know how hard it's got to be to win the 24-hour Le Mans? Well, anyways, congratulations to Price Cobb. Really, great show. God, I mean, I don't know. We got to talk to these sports editors. I don't think they realize what the 24-hour Le Mans is. I mean, it's got to be probably the biggest racing event in the world. It puts all the world talent, all the manufacturers. It pits everybody against everybody across the world. It's even more incredible than the Daytona 24 hours. Okay. Anyways, we'll get to the national stuff here in about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, we are going to go out to I-76 Speedway and talk to Butch Spiker out there, who they raced at I-76 on the quarter-mile dirt oval on Saturday night. Hi, Butch.
How you doing, Jan?
Pretty okay.
Good.
How'd it go out there on Saturday night?
We had a pretty good show. Weather kind of got a little threatening there for a while, sprinkled a little bit, but it didn't wet the track down for us. That's about it. We went ahead and ran everything.
Hey, just excuse me for 1 second. I mean, did you see this where Price Cobb wins the 24-hour Le Mans, and they put him back in the...
I didn't even see it, tell you the truth, Jan, so...
There you have it.
Yeah, you know, you're right. You would think there'd be something bigger than that about it, him winning it, you know, but...
I mean, that's a front-page story. If there's a front-page story in... that's like winning the Indy 500. Maybe not... I mean, it's pretty darn close. I don't know. I just get... when I see stuff like this buried in the back of the paper, it's hard enough to get to Le Mans, and winning it is something else. Okay, anyways, let's go back to the local quarter-mile track.
Okay, well, let me give you some of the results there. In the late model sportsman, we had Gary Dakin coming up in the 101 car, Wendy Winholz's car. He won it. He beat Brenda Evans on the last lap coming down for the checkered. He beat her by about 2 feet.
Did you say Brenda Evans?
Yeah, Brenda Evans.
She's running a sportsman car?
Yeah, she moved up from Grand National, from the street stock cars, her and her sister both.
You're kidding.
Her sister has a sportsman car, too.
Hey, you know what? We'll have to get them on the show, maybe get both of them on the show here on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. That'd be pretty, that'd be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, you ought to get them on sometime. Anyway, she did a heck of a job. She led the thing all the last 5 or 6 laps to the last lap coming down for the checkered, and Gary snuck by her there by about 2 feet. So she got second, and Ben Sosky got third, and Doug Jackson from Golden got fourth. And then in the Grand National Street Stock, Chris Lee from Greeley won it, Larry Smith was second, and Phyllis Khaleesi was third, and Russ Hodgson was fourth. And in the mini sprints, we had Terry Plummer winning again. I don't know, this is about, 3 or 4 he's won in a row. He's pretty tough to beat in those mini sprints.
Yeah.
And we got Brad Pemble second, and Len Jacobs third. There was 20, we had 20 mini sprints out there, so they...
Is that right? You getting more all the time?
Yeah, they started out, I think the first week had 14, and then 16, and 16, and this here week they had 20, so.
Mini sprints are kind of, they're like very small sprint cars with hot rod Kawasaki motorcycle motors in them, right, and wings and all of that.
Yeah, they have wings like the sprint cars, you know, they look more like a midget, you know, and they got wings like the sprint cars, and they got a motorcycle motor, I don't know how many cc's for sure, they have a cc limit, I think it's a 550 maybe, but on that little track, they put on a pretty good show.
They do put on a good show.
Yeah, so we had a pretty good week.
Okay, you didn't have the IMCA cars out there then?
No, they were at Rocky Mountain. They'll be with us next Sunday.
Hey, they'll be with you next Sunday? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to run Sunday at 6 o'clock, and we'll have the late model sportsman, the street stock, and the IMCA cars, and we're going to have kiddie rides this week. So, you know, if anyone wants to come out, let the kids ride in the race car at intermission, we just let all the kids come down the track and let them ride around.
Now, what's this? This sounds like fun. You're going to do what?
Oh, we're going to have kiddie rides.
Yeah.
You know, but at intermission, we bring the race cars out from the pits, you know, and let the kids get in the cars and just drive around, you know, real slow. And let the kids have a little fun.
Oh, you mean like they could kind of sit over next to where the driver is, or stand up and hang onto the roll?
Yeah, you know, like the Grand National cars, you can get 5, 6, heck, some of those cars can get 8, 10 kids in them, hanging out the windows. So, you know, the kids like it.
Oh, that's got to be pretty thrilling for a kid. That's got to be pretty thrilling for anybody who's never been in a race car.
Yeah.
All the people that always come over to, you know, to a race in the pits afterwards and say, geez, I'd really like to do that, or I'd really like to go for a ride. And a lot of the tracks, you can't even give anybody a ride, even a slow ride around the track.
Yeah, we do it up there. We probably shouldn't, but we do it anyway.
Oh, no, I think that's great.
We did it a few times last year. We're going to do it this week. So.
Yeah, heck, we'll help push that. That's a good deal.
Okay.
All right. And, hey, do you know, let me see here. I don't know, where are we? Are we having a hard time reaching the folks at Rocky Mountain? We are. Do you know anything about the results down there? Because there are no results in the Denver Post today. In fact, nobody's got any results on them.
No, I really don't know.
Oh, did you race? You had your own track?
Yeah, I heard that in the IMCA cars, 77, little Basil.
Did he?
Yeah. He won the feature in the IMCA cars. That's all I know. I don't know about the sprint cars and the majors. I haven't had a chance to find out about it.
Let me give out the phone number here. Maybe somebody, if you've been at Rocky Mountain this weekend, you know who won. Give us a call, 825-5710, because we sure don't know. I'd like to know who won the sprint cars, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Butch.
Okay, Jan. Well, don't forget us on that July 3rd, that
the Enduro
deal. That we're going to fireworks show and everything on Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. So.
Oh, that'll be fun. I'm going to be there myself.
Okay, sounds good.
Be racing the Cadillac that night.
All right, buddy.
Okay.
Okay, see ya.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Butch Spiker, I-76 Speedway. A really nice family track out in Fort Morgan, and you know, I think if you find a track where women are doing a lot of racing at, and you know, the kids are being paid attention to, it's got to be a good track. That's all I can say. 825-5710. Now we're going to go and talk to Doris with the Sports Writers Association of Colorado. These are the motocross folks. Hi, Doris.
Good evening. How are you?
Well, pretty good. How'd your racing go this weekend?
Oh, we had a pretty good race. We had a little under 300 riders.
Where did you race? You
Thunder
guys
Valley.
move around so much. I never know where you are.
Thunder Valley.
Oh, Thunder Valley.
Yeah.
That's right.
Out here in Lakewood.
Speaking of Thunder Valley, I don't know. No, I talked to Joey Chitwood III. They're supposed to call us from either Las Vegas or someplace in Utah tonight and talk to us on the telephone. They had the Chevy Thunder show, you know.
Right.
Watch them. So anyways, Thunder Valley, the SRAC motocross motorcycle bikes. How did things go there?
Well, everything went real well. We had a beautiful day and a pretty good turnout, and about 1,000 people turned out to watch. So we had a nice day, considering it was Father's Day.
Yeah.
And we had some good racing. In fact, some of it was awfully tight, and some of them pulled it out, and we had some upsets. Usually the people that are up there in front went down or something like that, and then other people took their place. So we had, like I say, good race, some tight racing, which makes for a good day too.
You know, now I don't see your results here in the. I don't see any motorcycle results in the.
In the papers?
No, in the post, and you ought to be in there. I mean, oh, here's the MRA. They're in here.
Yeah. Occasionally we can get them in. Some days they don't. I know Cheryl has tried to get them in, but occasionally they don't do it.
Yeah, they've even listed a track in Durango here.
Oh, you're kidding.
Durango Grand Prix SCCA Solo at Arapahoe Park. How about that? Hello, Durango. I can actually hear us down there sometimes when the weather's wrong.
Clear and nice, huh?
Well, give us some results, okay?
Okay. Well, in the 125 class, we had the usual Kip Sandell on top.
Amazing.
He rides out of victory over here. And then we had Andy Atkins, who was second, and Scott Fulcher, who was third. And Scott's the son of, you remember the Kim Chicken?
Yeah.
That's his son.
Oh.
And then for the 250 pros, we had Derek Brown, Stacy Cook from Grand Junction, and then Scott Fulcher again.
Familiar names keep popping up at the top.
Yes. And then the open pros, we had Jeff Moore, Derek Brown, and Kevin Brock. So those were our pro classes that we had raced. Of course, we had all our other ones too. And we had a very exciting father and son relay race, which was the fathers had to race on mini bikes. And we even had some of the 50cc fathers get out there and try and go around the track on the 50cc bikes, which was hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, we did. We had a good time. In fact, I think the trophies they gave away for those mini classes were about 4 foot tall.
825-5710 is the number here. Thanks, Doris, for your report tonight.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, you're with Jan Scott this evening here on KNUS, the business station. KNUS, the business station. Yes, that's who we are, and we're on every night at 9 o'clock. Monday nights we do all the racing reviews. Friday nights we do previews, and in the middle of the week we usually do interviews. If you want to get on the show, just give me a call, or actually you can give Rolene a call during the afternoon at 623-2324. If you want to get booked on the show and talk about, if you're involved in racing, we'd sure like to hear from you and talk to you. Now, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we'll come back and we'll give you the national results. There's a lot of hot stuff that happened. There was the big motorcycle Grand Prix race. A bunch of guys really got hurt out there in Europe. So we'll be back on AM 710, the business station, right after these important racing messages.
It's hot fun in the summer sun right now at your local Napa Auto Parts store. Get in on the fun and excitement as the best in NHRA Winston Drag Racing comes to Vandermeer Speedway, and Napa Auto Parts presents the Champion Spark Plug Super Series. Get up close to the action with a free pit pass from any participating Napa store. But the fun doesn't stop at the Speedway. Everyone loves a little water fun. Napa and Valvoline bring you this special offer for a Valvoline Lake Racer, a revolutionary designed raft great for summer fun at the lake, beach, or pool. This $19.95 value is free with the purchase of only 12 quarts of Valvoline motor oil, on sale now at Napa. 99 cents a quart for 10W40 or 10W30. Get started now on your hot fun in the summer sun with a lake racer from Valvoline and free pit passes to the Champion Spark Plug Super Series, presented by Napa Auto Parts Stores June 22nd and 23rd at Bandimere Speedway. It's hot fun in the summer sun with Napa Auto Parts Stores.
Heads by Paul, Colorado's finest machine shop at 3994 South Mariposa in Inglewood. Heads by Paul since 1970. Their car won the Pikes Peak Hill Climb in the stock class. And Heads by Paul has built motors for notable racers like Leonard Bosholtz, Bill Tempro, and Roger Guzman. Dave Van Wensel at Heads by Paul is also on the board of directors for the Auto Engine Rebuilders Association. So give them a call. Heads by Paul, 761-4567. Heads by Paul.
Spitfire Automotive is a hyper-performance, complete machine shop. Spitfire has complete cam grinding and engine balancing. Spitfire also does a line, boring, honing, and block grinding with a BHJ block true block prep. Spitfire Automotive at 903 Federal Boulevard. Call Mac or Elaine for all your engine building needs. 573-8515. That's 573-8515. Or stop on by the shop at 903 Federal Boulevard. Spitfire Automotive.
It's time for a new look at business, the business of motor racing. It's Jann Scott tonight on AM 710, the business station.
Okay, you know, I should tell you about Ralph Schomp, Oldsmobile. They have some great new Oldsmobiles out this year in 1990. I've been driving all the different ones that they make, and I am impressed. They have this incredible valve system and fuel injection system. They handle very well. They're actually very, very fast. I mean, I'm often wondering if you just couldn't take a little stock Oldsmobile and just go race it in the street stock class. I bet it would be as competitive as any of the cars they have out there now, especially with that fuel injection. Anyways, they handle very well. They have some that are very luxurious. They have some that are very sporty, like the Cutlass Supreme International Series. Nice car. The seat contours to you every which way. It's got about a gazillion buttons on it. You can have a lot of fun. Has all the controls up in the steering wheel. Everything is leather. Everything smells nice. The people definitely check the car out when you drive it. It kind of, you know, it's like, you know, it looks better than, say, a Camaro, as an example. It has a definite sporty side to it. People, you know, they eye it, and it's reasonably priced, too. What else do they have? Oh, Schomp also has the Silhouette van. Just a really nice van. It's also a showstopper, the kind of thing you can go and pick your kids up from school with, or take a bunch of people to, you know, to the baseball game or football game with, or to the races. What the heck am I talking about? And yet, you know, you can go out in it. It's the kind of a van you wouldn't be ashamed to park it out in front of a very nice restaurant. I mean, this thing looks like a space vehicle. Okay, Ralph Schomp, Oldsmobile. Stop by, talk to Norm Karsh if you want to buy a car. Tell him Jen Scott sent you. At least drive him. Before you buy another American car, check out the new Oldsmobile. And stop by and see Lisa Schomp, too. 5700 South Broadway. We're going to do this now. We're going to go straight to the 24-hour Motorsports Network and give you all the racing results from around the country and around the world as of today.
What a difference a couple of weeks makes. Hello, everyone. This is Ned Wicker, editor and publisher of IndyCar Racing Magazine. Michael Andretti, after suffering a heartbreak at Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago, came back with a vengeance at the Valvoline Detroit Grand Prix this afternoon. He led every single lap of this one from number 1 to number 62, and nobody got close all day long. Bobby Rahal was second, but a very, very distant second. He was on the lead lap, but as the checkered flag came out from starter Nick Fernoro, Michael Andretti was setting up to put Bobby Rahal a lap down. So you can say that Michael Chevrolet Power just had everything hooked up. He was absolutely splendid for 62 laps this afternoon. Bobby Rahal in the STP Craco ride with Chevrolet Power. That's a Lola. He finishes second, and a very impressive run by Eddie Cheever in the Target of PC-18 with Chevrolet Power. Eddie Cheever finishing third, 1 lap in arrears. In fourth position, Rick Mears in the Pennzoil Penske 90 with Chevrolet Power. Rick finishing just a tad behind Cheever in fourth spot. Canadian Paul Tracy was not the winner at Detroit, but it took the ARS's winningest driver in history to do the job. Hello, everyone. This is Ned Wicker, editor and publisher of IndyCar Racing Magazine. Here at the Detroit Grand Prix, Tommy Byrne, your winner. And Tommy Byrne was following Paul Tracy for the entire distance of this race. But on a restart at the very end of the race, it was a green flag, white flag, 1 lap, dash to the checkered flag. Tommy Byrne got by Tracy on the restart. Tracy having a problem making contact with the outside wall, lost a whole bunch of positions, fell way back. The young man had dominated this race since the very beginning, leading laps 2 through 18. Byrne was on him most of the way, however. Byrne earns a $10,000 bonus from Buick. The Buick Power Challenge, $2,500 a race. To first-time race winners, it had built up. The Buick dealers in Metro Detroit tossed in another $2,500 to Tommy Byrne with a $10,000 bonus on winning this Detroit Grand Prix, and certainly going away a very happy young man. Eric Baccarat of Belgium was second in the Toshiba car. Mike Snow finishing third in the Bradley Food Mart's car. Justin Bell with a nice run, finishing in fourth position.
This is Richard Day with the World of Outlaws report for 10/17. State Fair Speedway just seems to bring in the World of Outlaws flair for the dramatic. Earlier this season, when the Copenhagen Skull Shootout visited the Oklahoma State Fairgrounds semi-banked half-mile oval, Doug Wolfgang battled Steve Kinzer for 30 laps before beating him to the finish line by the width of the Goodyear tires on his number 8 Payless Hardware and Rockery Chennai. The other third of the World of Outlaws Big Three, Sammy Swindell, joined the battle Sunday and helped make State Fair Speedway's Father's Day A feature another one to remember. Kinzer approached the 1-lap track record Swindell set at State Fair Speedway in March with a quick time of 17.402 seconds, then followed Sammy under the checkered flag in the World of Outlaws Trophy Dash. Wolfie ran third in the Trophy Dash, setting the stage for an epic A feature with Swindell and Kinzer on the front row and Wolfgang starting on the second row inside. Sammy burst into the lead immediately after the green flag was thrown and steered his number 1 TMC Swindell ahead of the 24-car field until Kinzer slipped under him coming out of turn 4 to take over first place during the A feature's 12th lap.
This is Pat Murphy reporting from New Hampshire International Speedway with results from the AMA National at Loudon Raceway and also from the Grand Prix held in Yugoslavia this weekend. Let's start with the GP results. The Yugoslavian GP was marred with a tremendous 3-rider crash in the 250cc final. West German Reinhold Roth was in critical condition after the crash. He crashed with 2 other riders and is suffering from a cracked skull and broken nose and jaw when he slammed against the barrier after that crash with Frenchman Alex Preville and Australian Darren Milner, who broke his collarbone. Let's go down to the results on that 250cc race, and we had Carlos Cardus taking the win over John Kaczynski. At New Hampshire International Speedway, Doug Chandler won his first AMA race of the season, coming off his win last weekend in the World Superbike race at Brainerd. Chandler went wire to wire to beat his Kawasaki teammate Scott Russell and Thomas Stevens on the Vance & Hines Yamaha. In the 250cc class, Doug Bronick took the win, but only after having 2 other riders fall after leading. Rick Kirk of Claremore, Oklahoma, in only his second ride on a 250cc machine.
Supercross action dominates the news today, and this report is from the June 16th AMA Camel Supercross Series event at Spartan Stadium in San Jose, California. This was the inaugural Camel Supercross event at Spartan Stadium, and defending champion Jeff Stanton scored a pressure-packed victory to become the odds-on favorite to duplicate his Camel title of a year ago. Thank you for calling the SCCA Pro Racing Trans Am hotline.
The Motor City 100 once again proved to be full of surprises as Scott Sharp, driving an Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, won his first career Trans Am victory in the streets of Detroit. Sharp, aged 22, grabbed the lead on the next-to-last lap when race leader Tommy Kendall developed electrical problems after running a flawless race. Sharp averaged 59.125 miles per hour in the crash-filled event, and he collected a first-place prize of $11,800.
Welcome to the SCCA Pro Racing Report. This is Sean Marchant reporting.
Thank you for calling the SCCA Pro Racing Truck Guard Show Zone Challenge hotline. Tommy Archer, driving the Craftsman Jeep Comanche, won his 9th career SCCA race truck victory Saturday as he mastered the streets of Detroit in the Motor City Truck Showdown, round 3 of the SCCA Truck Guard Show Zone Challenge.
This is the International Hot Rod Association report. The Caspiasti Sumani IHRA Gateway Nationals went into the record books this weekend with a number of first-time winners as well as defending IHRA World Champions notching national event titles. In Top Fuel dragster, Michael Brotherton picked up his first victory on the national trail, defeating Richard Holcomb in the final. Brotherton ran a 5:36 with a 7 at 264.44 miles per hour over Holcomb's 5:42 with a 6 at 257.17. In Nitro Funny Car, defending Gateway National champion Doc Holliday repeated his victory in 1990 as he defeated Mark Sievers in the final. Holliday ran a 5:79 with a 3 at 254.47 miles per hour to Sievers' 8:72 with an 8 at 90.68. In Pro Stock, the closest race of the weekend by 3/1,000ths of a second, Tim Neighbors defeated Harold Denton. Neighbors got the advantage off of the starting line with a 5:15 reaction time to Denton's 5:21 and ran an elapsed time of 7:49 with a 1 at 186.36 miles per hour to Denton's valiant 7:48 with an 8 at 186.74. For Mark Thomas, Moss ran a 6:31 with a 5 at 222.07 miles per hour. Thomas a 6:49 with a 4 at 212.63. In Pro Modified, Ronnie Sox from the state of North Carolina in his classic nostalgic 1964 Mercury Comet picked up his first national event title of the year, defeating Mike Ashley, the Spring Nationals winner of only 3.
People out here, and they look at the opportunities for post or pre-convention tours, so we're getting a lot of business that way. What is the competition like?
Now we're back here on AM 710, KNUS, the business station. Monday night racing results. We try to give them to you from all over the world. There was a terrible wreck they had in that Grand Prix race in where the hell was it? I don't know. I ought to write stuff down. Anyways, the heck with that. We're going to go right over to Ted Douglas, who is the track announcer at Colorado National Speedway, and when he's not too busy, he's gracious enough to share with me and especially with you what happens out at that racetrack. The guy's probably, as far as I'm concerned, the most knowledgeable person in asphalt circle track racing and probably dirt too that we have here in Colorado. Ted, hi, welcome to the show again tonight.
Thank you so much, Jan. Nice to be with you.
What happened out there at Colorado National Speedway?
Well, we had a rather lengthy program, but by the same token, it was incredibly exciting, I thought, for the most part throughout the evening. Had some tremendous racing. Ronnie Bird put on an incredible show in a heat race in the 53 late model to take the win. And then in the late model main event, Bobby Fix and Roger Avants were just bumper to bumper for the better part of 20 laps. And Avants was able to maintain the front position and take the win. But boy, I'll tell you what, we had some really hard-nosed racing out there.
Yeah, congratulations to Roger on that, because Bobby Fix won it last week, didn't he?
Bobby won it last week, and Roger this week. And Chris Miles had the point lead, the 75 car, had the point lead going into the program, and Chris, I think, finished somewhere around 10th. The points worked back 50 points for first place, and then 2-point differences all the way back. So Chris, I suspect, is probably going to be around second or third in the points.
How much do the guys make when they win that late model feature there?
I don't know, quite frankly. I really don't. The only thing I kind of keep track of is, you know, the points race.
Yeah.
I suspect it's somewhere around $1,000 for the main, or at least that would be my guess.
Somewhere's in there, okay.
But in any event, it was super, super exciting night. The Super Stocks, of course, put on an incredible show.
They did.
Oh, they are just there. That is such a hard-working bunch of guys and gals. It's amazing.
Are there some women racing Super
Yes,
Stocks?
Diana Jones, relation to Lynn Jones and Mark Jones. Mark Jones, the boy that drives the 29 late model, the white car. By the way, he started off in front and led the late model main for about 8 or 10 laps before somebody picked him up. I'm not sure what the relationship is. I don't know if it's a wife or sister or whatever, but Diana also races out there, and in turn got hammered a little bit Saturday night. Matter of fact, more than a little bit.
When you say hammered, you mean
crashed.
Too many brewskis? No, oh, I see. She
crashed. She got hit, is what happened. In turn, it really hammered the car pretty bad, and they were a little concerned with her. But for her personal safety, but of course, the men and women of Haley's ambulance service and the crash rescue crew from Buckley Air National Guard Base, we've got a really super infield crew. Jimmy Opperman, and then Aaron Teeter, and let's see, David Hemken and Aaron Teeter. I have to get the names right. And Jimmy Opperman are the infield crew. Jimmy is the track steward. He's the guy that runs around that funny little red truck.
Is this Jim Opperman the guy who owns the place?
No, this is his son, Jimmy.
Oh, his son, okay. I don't know if I've had the pleasure.
No, and he's a really super guy, man. And I'll tell you, he and those two kids just work their buns off every night out there. They are just so incredibly busy. But between them and the infield crews, the crash and rescue people and the ambulance people, they were able to get Diana out of the car and make sure that everything was okay. So I haven't heard anything. I suspect she probably just got her bell rung pretty good.
You know, I think what I'd like to do sometime is maybe have her and a couple. I was talking with Butch Spiker earlier. He has 3 women that are racing out at his track in the sportsman cars.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have a show maybe on a Tuesday or Thursday night where we have just women racers only.
I think you would get a refreshing opinion of auto racing.
Changed a lot, hasn't it, in the past 5 years?
Yeah, I think so. And I there was a couple of instances, one in particular that I can remember, where one of the guys came up and smacked Diana coming through the four corner. And of course, I'm sure that he feels like, it was just out of control and so on, and it probably was. What do I know? But in any event, it used to be when a woman got on the track with the men, first thing they did was went after her, and they tried to just punch her out. But,
except for Karen Widicar, she was pretty aggressive. She could
and she could punch with the best of them.
Right. When Ted's talking about punching, he's talking about bunting. Putting your bumper against the rear of their bumper or someplace else on the car.
Well, yeah, in a manner of speaking. Of course, when you're working with the asphalt, unlike the dirt, if you go up over the top and get out over the cushion on a dirt track, you just kind of wander around in the Never Never Land, and then you can spin around 2 or 3 times and get back. But in asphalt racing, you've got a 16-inch concrete wall, and there's no way that race car is going to punch a hole in that concrete. It isn't going to happen. You come to a real quick stop. And in turn, the damage is severe. As a matter of fact, the Desperado, Bill Gurton, the number 2 car out of Scottsbluff, Nebraska, in the trophy dash for the late model main, the start of the program, he got loose going through the south end of the racetrack, and the car just whipped on him, and he just hammered the wall. I mean, and I think the thing that kind of, those of us that were out there last couple of weeks, Bill had a similar circumstance, slammed into the 4-corner wall in a heat race, and came back about an hour and a half later. That car was demolished. The whole right side of that car was gone. Came back an hour and a half later and ran the main. I mean, he's got an incredible pit crew. Those guys are, and of course, everybody, has got a lot of support out there. But
Ted, is anything else we need to say here in closing? Because we're about out of time for this segment. I can talk to you all night long.
Well, and I appreciate that, and I'd love to talk all night long, but I know that you've got other things to do. I just would invite anyone and everyone that's listening that has not had an opportunity, as I say, to go racing, to do that. There's an incredible amount of racing activity in Colorado and right around Denver. There's a good, solid dirt track at Rocky Mountain Speedway. You've got one of the best asphalt tracks in the western United States at Colorado National Speedway. There's another good dirt track up in Fort Morgan that Butch Spiker runs. Yep. It used to be Morgan County Raceway. What is it now?
I-76 Speedway. Good name.
And I'm telling you, there's an incredible amount of racing going on, not to include the drag strip and motorcycles and so on. And go racing. You'd be surprised how much fun it really is.
Thanks, Ted.
All right, sir.
Good talking to you.
Enjoy your evening.
Ted Douglas, the crash
announcer at Colorado National Speedway. A guy's been around racing for a long time. Okay, we are going to take a break here. When we come back, we are going to talk with Tim Danahy. Bob Carlson's here with us, the famous race walker. We're going to talk about orienting. You ever hear about orienteering? You ever hear about that? A race against the clock, finding your way in the wilds with a map and compass. Yeah. It's 80 degrees. You want me to tell them that? We're going to take a break. I know that. We'll be back on AM 710 KNUS right after this.
When you hear the word Toyota, what do you think of? Value? Quality? Hopefully you think of both and Burt Toyota. That's because Burt is synonymous with Toyota in Denver, and they've built a reputation for selling Toyotas for less. But the people at Burt Toyota know that watching you drive off in your new vehicle is just the beginning. That's why Burt has built one of the finest service department staffs and facilities available in the entire Denver area. If you're looking for a little extra room and comfort, you must take a close look at the incredible 1990 Toyota Previa van. It's the sleekest looking four wheels on the road, but its beauty is more than skin deep. It's a breeze to drive, luxuriously comfortable, and very affordable. Maybe you're looking for sporty excitement. Then Burt Toyota suggests the 1990 MR2 sports car. It's fun to drive and dependable too. If you're shopping for a new or used vehicle, don't miss a trip to 5460 South Broadway. It's easy to get to, just south of Bellevue. Burt means Toyota.
Rock and Ice are what mountains are made of. Rock and Ice is also one of America's fastest growing magazines about America's fastest growing sports, climbing. With additional features on backcountry skiing, hiking, river running, and mountain biking, Rock and Ice presents broad coverage of the mountain adventure, acclaimed for stunning photography and exciting stories. Rock and Ice puts you on the edge. A one-year subscription is only $20. Get 6 outrageous issues for only half the cost of a lift ticket. Send your check or money order today for $20 to Rock and Ice, P.O. Box 3595, Boulder, Colorado 80307. That's P.O. Box 3595, Boulder 80307. Or ask for it at your local newsstand. Experience the mountain adventure. Experience Rock and Ice.
Coming up, the Burt Toyota Sports Fitness segment on Jann Scott Tonight. And now, the most dangerous man in late-night radio. It's Jann Scott Tonight, where the topic of business is taken seriously.
Okay, we got to talk with Joe Bellum here real quick at Rocky Mountain Speedway. Hi, Joe.
How are you doing, Jan?
Good. Can you tell us what the results were with your sprint cars down? I know a lot of the fans wanted to know what happened down there.
Real quick, sprint car division last Saturday was real well. We had 24 cars show up, put on an excellent show. Dave Strickland came from about the 12th spot, 6th row inside, came through and won it, and followed with Sid Blanford from Vail, close behind. Was Randy Whitman from Fort Collins, Bob Moore, and then Nicholas Sasso. So that was the top 5 in the sprint cars. The midget field was won by Dean Ward from Kansas.
Now, what was this?
The midget.
Oh, midgets, yeah.
Who also had about 24 cars. And once again, it was won by Dean Ward, then Randy Roberts, then Keith Roush from Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow, you had guys come in from all over the West
End. We also had Mark Passarelli from Phoenix, a Western States midget racer, come in, and he broke a left rear hub. He was running right up there, so putting on some good racing.
So you had sprint cars and midgets. I mean, that was the show for Saturday night.
And the IMCAs, which was won by Mike Basel, and then followed second place. I was trying to think who was second. I'll have to check that out for you.
Well, that's okay.
Oh, Tim Anderson, that's right. Tim Anderson was second from Fort Morgan. He's our point leader right now.
You have a good crowd down there on Saturday?
Excellent crowd, one of the best of the year.
Is that right?
Yep. So I think as the weather's getting hotter, they're starting to come on out.
Nice.
And, of course, we got the Outlaws coming up. So we'll get on your Friday night show and tell everybody what's coming up.
Yeah, we want to talk to you on Friday and let us know.
All
okay,
right.
Joe, thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye-bye. That's Joe Bellum, promoter over at Rocky Mountain Speedway, I-7, and it's Buckley Road and 96. Good little dirt track out there. Bob Carlson's with us. Hi, Bob. Yeah, good to have you.
Am I coming through?
Oh, you're coming through loud and clear, yeah. We have Rolene on the board.
All
We
right.
have her on the board. Everything goes right.
Good. We're going to get Timmy on the phone, eh?
Yeah, we're gonna Tim Danahy will join us in just a second. Orienteering, is that
That's right. Sport invented in Sweden. Fantastic sport.
Oh God. Okay, well let's get Tim. Tim Danahy, hi. Welcome to the show tonight. You're from Denver, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is the deal? This is supposed to be big. I've never even heard of it. And Bob's telling me last week that orienteering is big all around the world.
Oh my gosh, this is one of the biggest participant sports in the world. In fact, the single biggest sporting event is held in Sweden. They have a 5-day where I think something like 150,000 people participate. And just to give you a relative size, it would be like running Boston marathons in 5 consecutive days.
But what the heck is it? I don't understand it. What is orienteering? Is it in a car or in a motorcycle or bicycles or what?
Well, in the simplest terms, it's almost like an Easter egg for adults, but we'll never describe it that way because it takes a little bit of the beauty and dignity away from the sport.
Hey, I mean, if you're too old for an Easter egg hunt, you probably ought to jump in the grave now.
Well, that's right. Well, the spirit lives on, but what you do is you get a map at these races, and you pick the course that you want to go, and you go find a bunch of little markers that are marked on your map, and you just go through the woods and find them. And the person who finds them all sequentially and is the first one or the fastest one back is the winner.
Now wait, this does sound a little goofy and stupid. Now wait a second. What is this again now? I'm sorry.
That sounds like an attitude problem there, Jan.
Do I probably, maybe I do, I don't know.
This is the thinking man's sport.
It's a thinking man's sport, exactly. And Rob DiCostella may be the fastest runner in the world, but if he can't read a map, I can beat him. It's a sport that involves route choices and knowing how to read the map and being able to navigate through the woods. And speed kills in this because if you get lost on the map and the time it takes to find yourself again can take up quite a bit of time. So it does take a balance of both ability to read the map and also some physical fitness, but certainly an extreme either way would work against you.
We call it cunning running.
Cunning running.
Yes, cunning running.
I could say something, but I won't. Now, Rocky Mountain Orienteering Club, what do you do? I mean, where do you do this? Give me an example. Okay, I'm going to come to an event or to a meet. How does it get started?
How about downtown on July 1st? We're going to have one right in downtown Denver.
That's
the BKB putting it on.
Okay.
We also we have about 20 meets a year, all up and down the Front Range.
Is this running? I mean, do you get going a little bit?
Yeah, it is runners, and if you can run, you're better off. However, because of the ability to read maps is so important, walkers can certainly beat runners.
Now wait a minute. Oh really? Okay. Now let's say I'm in a wheelchair, and I have a pretty good mind for reading maps. Could I win this potentially?
A downtown meet, which is wheelchair accessible, sure you could. But up in the woods, you might be a little hard-pressed.
Well, you have to climb up over boulders and rocks and tree stumps and all over the place.
Okay, so in the woods it gets to be kind of a physical fitness sort of sport.
To an extent. At every meet, we have 5 courses set, and the white course is the easiest. It's almost like a nature walk, and it's for beginners, and it's on trails, and you turn left at a trail intersection, and it's very easy to find the controls.
And you can meet people there and have fun?
Oh,
this sounds like a fun thing to do.
Oh, it's a family sport.
Is it?
Terrific.
It kind of sounds like a boomer
sport. Oh, it's wonderful.
Kind of thing I'd probably do.
Well, it's an enjoyable thing in the sense that it does appeal to everybody. If you do enjoy the sport, you can progress through the various stages, and it is a very social atmosphere there, and everybody is very eager to provide instruction at every meet. And we make it very accessible for everybody.
So it's kind of like you have to find little markers, and then it gives you further instructions, or no?
Yes, in a sense. Your map, you're given some clues where they are, and you go find them, and then on each one of these markers, there's like a little stapler.
That's a unique punch.
Yes. What it is. And then you punch your card, and then to verify that you've been there, and then you just come back once you found them all. And the fastest time wins. It's beautiful in its simplicity, and yet it's tremendous in its satisfaction. The feeling of being out in the woods.
Sounds like a scavenger hunt.
Well, you learn a whole lot every time. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and Bob's right. There is so much to learn, and there is so much you can appreciate out there.
Well, like what is there to learn, as an example?
Just learning how to navigate through the woods. You know, that the shortest distance between 2 points is not necessarily a straight line in orienteering. Being able to follow
an example of that would be
a big ridge between you and the control. Many times it's much more economical to run around the edge of the ridge rather than struggle up over the top.
So you have to think things through a little bit.
You have to think about it. Right.
Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Yeah. So it's almost like a military kind of maneuvers. I bet a military person would do fairly well at something like that.
Well, you know, that's kind of a terrible connotation in the sense that, you know, a lot of people think we do put charcoal under our eyes and wear camouflage fatigues, but it's not that way at all. We just wear running shorts, and you know, we all
You don't kill anything when you're out there?
No, nothing like that. But you know, we do surprise a lot of deer, and that's kind of wonderful. But it's unfortunate that a lot of people have military connotations because it's further from the truth.
I only brought up military in the sense of strategy because you know, field commanders are forever planning from here to there. You know, not knowing where you're going next, kind of thing.
I understand the parallels, and you're right, Jan. You know, just the strategy involved is certainly there, but to tie it up with the military, you know, might not give the sport justice. It's a fun family sport, and you can do it with your 4-year-old, and you can do it with your grandparents. It's for everybody.
How did you get turned on to this, Tim?
About 10 years ago, I heard about it in one of the magazines that I was reading, and so I went up and tried it up in Mount Falcon, which is very close to Denver.
Oh, was I directing that meet?
Bob, you know, you might have been. You've been around that long.
Well,
and,
since 1974.
You've been doing orienteering since that long, too? Or?
Yeah. 1974. I got a fellow named Steve Goodman talked me into it in 1974.
So, yeah, again, it's all up and down the Front Range, Colorado Springs, Boulder, and I tried many meets, and you just learn to love it, and you look forward to it as being an outing for you and your wife or your friends, and it's a wonderful environment.
Now, this would be good for a lot of our listeners at night, because a lot of listeners who listen to talk radio at night are basic couch potatoes, and I would say this sounds like the most fun for a potato to get off the couch and kind of go out and do something where you don't have to really exert yourself too much, especially in the downtown meet, huh?
Well, yeah, that's...
I'm always encouraging people to kind of, you know, get up and...
Well, it is in the sense that a couch potato, if you want to use a term, can come out there and have a good chance.
You should have one, like you could have one called the Couch Potato Annual or something, and have an orienteering one, just especially for people who listen to talk radio at night.
I refer back to the attitude problem again.
No, I have a great attitude.
Well, if the people would like to try it, just as an introduction type of thing, there's 2 meets I think going on July 1st. In the morning, there's one in downtown Denver called the Downtown Runaround, and you can find out more about that through BKB or the Listen Foundation.
Yeah, they have a running race first, and then a walking race, and then the orienteering.
Okay.
And so that's a very close to home type of thing where people can try the concept. And then on the same day in the afternoon, there's one up in Estes Park at the YMCA camp, I believe, up there.
Do these cost money to do, or can you do it?
It's so inexpensive. I think it's, Bob, you might
$3
or $4.
Well, I guess it's cheaper for members than non-members, but it's very, very economical, like $3 and $4.
$3 or $4, okay. And that sounds good. Now look, we have to take a break here. We'll come back and we'll talk more with Tim Danahy, and Bob Carlson's in with us tonight. And this is one of my most favorite songs in the whole world. Have a listen, and we'll be back on AM 710, KNUS, the business station.
Racket World Athletic Clubs, the clubs in a class by themselves, invite you to join them during June at Wimbledon. Tennis galore for one and all, plus a discounted initiation fee of just $75. During June, they're offering a free week's pass just for the asking and a chance for you to join in their Wimbledon tennis fun. Come in to register for a free tennis rating clinic, or better yet, schedule a lesson with one of their pros. It's Racket World's way of saying yes to tennis and to help you get started in your fitness schedule. So come to Racket World in the month of June for Wimbledon tennis, a free week, a special initiation fee offer, and much, much more. Call Monaco at 758-7080, Inverness at 790-7777, or Ridge at 979-4940. Call today and start your summer off with a smash. Racket World 790-7777. The clubs in a class by themselves.
Hi, this is Dr. Frank Martin for Advanced Alternative Healthcare. Are you tired of constantly increasing healthcare costs? Are you tired of no results or no relief? Then I suggest you call us at 322-4300. Our consultations are free, and we will do a complete blood chemistry for just $20. You shouldn't have to live with discomfort or pain or the possible side effects of pain-relieving drugs. Call us today, and we'll begin working to put your life back on track. That's 322-4300.
Jann's Got Tonight on AM 710 is taking your calls now at 825-5710. Once again, here's Jann.
In with Bob Carlson tonight, and we have Tim Danahy on phone. We're talking about orienteering. It's a race against the clock, finding your way in the wilds with a map and a compass, a national sport from Sweden. It's becoming popular in the United States, not so popular yet. Can we talk about, and Bob, I'll just start with you, about the techniques? You were saying there's some interesting
Well, there
techniques.
are certain things you can do when you're out there in the woods. There's one thing that's called hand railing. If you find a feature such as a telephone line that leads somewhat in the direction that you're going, you can just kind of blindly follow that and get there faster than if you kind of just had to watch your map the whole way. And then if there's a distinguishing point somewhere along that line, then you can go there and take a new reading in the direction that you're going towards your control. So sometimes you can save a lot of time doing that. Sometimes you can see a road that may be a little bit of a roundabout sort of a thing, and you can run like hell on it, you know, and get there a lot faster than if you start fighting your way through a bunch of underbrush, which might be a more direct route. There's a lot of little techniques like that, and you can kind of visually see certain things that are distinguished on the map. They try to show as much as they can on these orienteering maps, and there might be a big boulder someplace. As you run past it, it might be a distinguishing feature on the map, so you know you're going in the right direction. It just gives you a lot of confidence.
Tim?
Yes.
Yeah. Any comments on that technique?
Bob has been doing this for a long time, and he's a very good one. And you know, one thing that I mentioned is ability to read the map is so important. But the compass, everybody gets intimidated by that. But actually, the good orienteers minimize their use of the compass.
They can read the map and go solely with that.
Yeah, because the maps are so detailed, where every boulder, every telephone pole, every small feature is made on these custom-made maps, which cost us thousands of dollars to make for us. And so it's very hard to get lost, and again, anybody can do it.
Now, Tim, this Rocky Mountain Orienteering Club, are you like the president of it or something? Or?
I used to be one of the vice presidents with it, but now I do a lot of promotional things for the club. And I might mention that the club is now the liaison with the United States Olympic Committee. And orienteering, while we give it a couch potato connotation, anybody can do it. It's a new Olympic demonstration sport, just to show the popularity of it around the world.
Is that right?
And so if we could get some very experienced people, or good active runners that have some aptitude for the woods and the mountains, it's very possible that they could do quite well in national competition and see what happens from there.
It's almost like a return to the wilderness movement here in a sense, isn't it?
It's certainly a very satisfying feeling to be out in the middle of nowhere with nothing but a pair of running shorts, tennis shoes, a map, and a compass. It is kind of liberating.
It almost brings us back to our base nature, our ancestors. I wonder if it's almost like our historical, mind taking us back to something that we yearn for at a primal level.
Well, you get an understanding of the explorers and the men who came through the Rocky Mountains. It must not have been an easy task, but yet we've taken what was difficult for them and turned it into something very pleasurable for us.
Or the American Indian. It seems like I've been through something like this when I was a Boy Scout.
Sure.
Absolutely.
They use compasses, but we use a different sort of a compass than they do. This is a clear plastic thing you can see through and lay it on the map and orient your map in the direction you're going. And you should always try to keep the map kind of pointed in the direction that you're going, so you kind of get a sense of the terrain features as you go by.
Really good way to learn how to walk and move in the woods, isn't it?
Right.
It's invaluable. In fact, we gave just one lesson to somebody a couple of years ago. He's an owner of one of the athletic clubs in Aurora, and because he would chronically get lost, in fact, to the point where he was once in a life-threatening situation because he was lost. we held a small little recreational meet for him and the other class members up in Mount Falcon. And just after that one meet, he was able to find an error on one of the U.S. Forest Service maps and point it out to the ranger. And sure enough, he's been in good shape ever since then, and the ranger agreed with him.
Well, now that brings to another question. If for somebody who would be a novice at this and show up at a first event, will there be some instruction for them?
Absolutely. We take them from A to B to Z if they wish.
What do you mean by A to B to Z? You lost me.
Well, we can put them on a very easy course like the nature walk that I alluded to,
Okay.
or if they feel a little bit more aggressive, or if they do have a comfort level, we have 4 other grades higher that they can go, all the way up to red, which is advanced. So, we want it to be a challenge for everybody, but we don't want it to be something frustrating.
I think a lot of it, especially, and see, at night on this show, we talk to a lot of people who are sitting home, and a lot of times, we're afraid to get out of our houses. We're afraid to get away from the radio or the TV and kind of go out and explore. And, because it can be awfully comfortable sitting, at home. And I'm trying to just relate some, to people that maybe this could be something very, very simple to get out and do.
I think this meet downtown would be fantastic because they really can't get lost, and they could learn an awful lot about how to, find their way with a map.
What's the date of that meet?
July 1st.
July 1st.
It'll be like 9:30 or 9:45 in the morning for the orienteering part.
And where are they going to meet?
Well, it's Tim, exactly.
It's at Prudential Plaza,
Prudential
which
Plaza,
is right on the 16th Street Mall by the DNF Tower.
Oh, we're right out our window here. We can just about stare at it on the other side of the building.
In fact, Jan, I'd be willing to bet there'll be at least a control or two somewhere out there in the Tabor Center.
What's the control? You lost me.
The control is the little marker that you're looking for. It's a little red and white thing about the size of a sheet of paper, and it'll be marked on your map. But
well, they may not use those downtown, Tim.
They'll use a variation of it. The ones out in the woods are kind of like wind socks. They look like that, but the downtown ones are made out of plastic and they're red and white.
Tim, we are completely out of time. Tim Danahy. And could you give us a phone number for the Rocky Mountain Orienteering Club?
Well, I'll tell you what, the people here in Denver can give me a call, and if I'm not here, leave a message at 733-6191.
Okay, Tim, thank you. Good having you on the show tonight.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Tim Danahy with the Rocky Mountain Orienteering Club. And Bob Carlson, it's always fun and interesting having you here. You're just filled with all kinds of wonderful. You're an adventurous.
I like to do a lot of things.
Yeah, you're an inspiration. And Bob Carlson is, how old are you, 63?
No, 65.
65. He doesn't even look it. For those of you who are 65 and think you can't do anything, you can write to Bob Carlson here at KNUS, 1200 17th Street, Denver, 80202 if you have any questions for Bob. Just write to him, care of me. Hey, we'll see you tomorrow night, folks. Good night. God bless you.
AM 710, the business station, KNUS, Denver. Direct from ABC News, I'm Ashley Martella. The state of Arkansas has carried out its first execution in 26 years.
John Edward Swindler was executed in accordance with Arkansas law and by order of the sentencing court at 9:02 p.m. this evening. He was pronounced dead at 9:05 p.m. By the county coroner. Prior to that execution, he was given an opportunity to make a last statement and chose to make no statement.
Prison spokesman David White. John Edward Swindler died in the electric chair after spending his final hours with one of his lawyers and spiritual advisor. He was executed for the 1976 murder of a patrolman who recognized him as a fugitive from a double murder in South Carolina. Authorities in Jacksonville, Florida, think a man who burst into a loan office today and opened fire with a semi-automatic gun, killing 8 people, may have killed 2 others over the weekend. 42-year-old James Pugh was a suspect in the murders of a suspected prostitute and her alleged pimp. He also served 5 years probation for aggravated assault and was once arrested for assault with intent to murder. Yet, he was still able to buy a gun and register it. Why, Sheriff Jim McMillan?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. We're trying to find that out at this time. We do not have any other contact with him that we have listed since 1971.
Pugh, whose car had been repossessed recently, walked into an auto financing company and gunned down the employees today before turning the gun on himself. In Shadyside, Ohio, Searchers found another body today. A 13-year-old girl was pulled out of the Ohio River, bringing the death toll in the eastern Ohio flash flood to 22. 14 people are still listed as missing, and townspeople today began burying the victims. An environmental group urges you not to buy products containing methylchloroform. It depletes ozone. Has found at least 141 items, including hairsprays, glues, spot removers, and bug killers. Does as much damage as chlorofluorocarbons, but is not nearly as infamous. In California, federal and state agencies suing 8 corporations, including Westinghouse, for allegedly dumping toxic waste into Southern California's coastal waters. Suit claims companies have been doing it for decades. I'm Ashley Martella, ABC News.
Whatever happened to spending time without ever having to look at my watch?
Whatever happened to time for the luxury of breakfast in bed, and dinner in bed, too, if I want?
At Marriott, we know how precious your time is, so this summer we're giving you more of it. We've turned our 2 for breakfast weekend into a mini vacation that can begin as early as Thursday and end as late as Monday. Whatever happened to slipping away for just a bit of coziness with my wife?
Or even a bit of craziness?